Hello everyone, Josh here with Exodus Games, bringing you guys another Awaken Chaos Era video. And today we're going to be exploring the best elites available in the game. Now, some of these units may change depending on what they want to do before the actual official release of the game later this year. However, as of right now, through all the 4 closed beta tests, and we're at finally right now in the final closed beta test, hopefully there's no 5th. But if all things are considered and they stay the same, these will be the best elites available in the game. So let's go ahead and jump right into them. We're going to go to the index here, our trusty little Pokédex, if you will. And we're going to go ahead and go through every single faction and talk about the best elites possible. Some of these may not have an elite that's worthwhile. Some of them might have multiple. So let's go ahead and explore first the Holy Light Empire. Now, in the Holy Light Empire, there is a couple units that we're going to talk about. First, Abbott. Abbott is a very, I would say, decent healer. He's not going to be the best healer by far, but in terms of being an elite hero, he's not too bad. His healing will scale to max HP. His HP is, unfortunately at a B, but with the right gear, you could make that work. So he'll be a nice temporary slot-in healer for, a short period of time. Not really somebody that I would consider investing too heavily in. I definitely will not 6-star this guy, but... And I mean, and we're talking about the biggest shocker, biggest surprise of this entire closed beta test so far. The dude who just came out of nowhere and stole the show. Our boy Connor, who has that ugly mug of his just staring right into your soul. I don't like his design. I'm not a fan of it. But I gotta give the man credit. He can work. He can do the job. He's OP. This man is a fire elite. And what that means is he's going to be very, very good for Tulpa. And Tulpa is going to be by far the most popular and most used gear dungeon boss in this game, especially at release. A lot of people is going to be farming Tulpa for a long, long time until you're able to go into other gear dungeons and farm other sets that are going to be built more for late game. But from mid to late game, you're going to still be farming a lot of Tulpa. And this dude is going to be a big, big boost. Not only is he going to be good for bosses, he's going to be good for almost every mode in the game. Maybe outside of PvP. You could use him in PvP, but I wouldn't recommend it because there's other units that you could utilize in PvP. Because right now, PvP is kind of a speed cleave, if you will. But why this guy is so special is if you read his ult, heals all team members, healing scales with this character's attack. Now, however, that sounds pretty bad, especially considering his attack is a B, and as a lot of you know, scaling off of attack versus max HP is always going to be superior because, I mean, look at the base HP, 4,639 over 884 attack. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, that ain't going to be too good. And that's what a lot of us thought. However, his ult does not work that way at all. It is completely typed incorrectly. He heals on that ult. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And if you guys actually go ahead and check out my Tulpa 9 auto farm without any 6-star video that I have here on the channel, you will see him in action, and he is phenomenal. I was beating Tulpa 9 with him at 4-star with, I'd say, subpar gear. Get him up to 5 stars, get him up to 6 stars, get a little bit of attack on there with HP, defense, some resistance, and agility. This dude will go off. So he is by far one of my biggest surprises, if not the biggest surprise of this beta. I would argue that he's the biggest surprise so far. He also has a very nice skill too that grants shield and attack up for your entire team for 2 turns, which is awesome. On a 3-turn cooldown, that means you're only missing 1 turn in between the cooldowns, which is not bad at all. So not only does he provide you with big heals, he provides your team with some survivability and some attack buff, which allows for some more DPS. And that attack up also affects his healing as well because it's based on his attack. So you get this guy around 1,000 to 1,500 attack, and maybe even some extreme cases later down the road with better 5- and 6-star gear, maybe 2,000 attack. This guy will top your entire team up outside of maybe a tank. I mean, your DPSs are just going to get full healed like that. It's going to be simple, easy, and effective. This guy, I wanted to sit here and take a moment to talk about him because he was, again, a massive shock to me. He's very underrated. So if you guys have not heard about the man, the myth, the legend, Connor, you better use him, and you better believe he's going to be performing at a high level. He's amazing. Again, I don't like the design, but I love what he can provide your team. Just phenomenal. He also gives himself 20% attack on his trait as well, and he's an elite, so he's easy to build up. So he's by far one of the better healers in the game, if not the best healer in the game. You could debate that with Mythasia, but in terms of overall use, free-to-play friendly, how easy he is to build up, I would kind of give him the edge over that debate. So we'll have to see going forward, but he is phenomenal. I just wanted to give him a nice little shout out there. Okay, Crisis. Is there anything in here? No. As you can see, it goes straight from epic to common. Maybe we could get some more elites in here, you know, after release. We'll have to see. Lazier. Lazier has, I would say, 2, potentially. One, I would say, more so than the other. But, you know, it is what it is. So we're going to first talk about Evelyn. Evelyn in the last closed beta test was very good. She was a nice single target damage dealer. She's easy to build up because you don't have to build her up with any crit. You just got to give her all attack and crit damage, because the way her ult works is she's going to always crit if you have a defense down. And with the Purgatory spell and the fact that her skill 2 also has a defense down, you're always going to have that setup ready to go and in play. So she's always going to crit. She also has an A attack, which is nice. However, she is extremely squishy. And since you are going to be building her all offensive, she's going to be taking a lot of damage, and she's not very sustainable late game. So this will be a unit that will fall off at some point, sooner than later, and her kit just doesn't justify using for a long time, because outside of really doing some boss fights here and there, she's not going to provide you with too much story-wise, tower-wise, PvP, trials, etc. There's just so many better units out there. So you're not going to really use her in that regard. So, but she is still really decent. She's just not in that higher tier of elites right now that is like, you know, a Connor. Now, another very underutilized unit is Marion. Now, when we first started this beta, this final beta, she was the only unit in the game that could do anything with lifesteal, because they took away the lifesteal set. However, they went ahead and released a dark version of Marion, which, spoiler alert, I pulled twice over the course of the past few days. Got her to level 60 and been testing her out in the bleed team with Scarlet. Even though it's not fully ready yet, I can give you somewhat of a little glimpse maybe here in a day or two. We'll see. And then I'll give you like a full preview breakdown of that unit a little bit further inside that team. We're going to be talking about team comps, stuff like that in future videos, so don't worry. Those will be coming very soon. But Marion, with her passive, or I'm sorry, with her trait, the lifesteal gain of all team members increased by 25% if you ascend her, obviously, which gives you a total of, I believe, just 25% lifesteal. Because sometimes the numbers on the traits increase, but sometimes they just get replaced. This is a unit in the situation where the actual ascension just replaces the old one. So it's not going to be 40%. Which would be crazy. It's just going to be 25%. But I don't know if this is a bug or if it's meant to be, but if she dies, your team is still going to be receiving that 25% lifesteal every time they do any kind of damage. So hopefully they keep that in, because that's actually kind of nice. Outside of that, her kit's really not the greatest. She does have a very balanced stat distribution. Everything is rated as a B. So she's not going to be too squishy if you build her up right. HP, defense, agility, resistance. You know, the typical standard tank stats. If you do that, you might be able to stay alive long enough and just be kind of like a wall. Just something for the, you know, the occasional boss or units to just beat on for no reason while still providing that 25%. But if she dies and that 25% stays there, even after release, it's a nice little lifesteal. It's nothing special, it's nothing great, but it's something there that you could utilize maybe early on. But this is not going to be a unit that you're going to want to take to 60 or keep around long term. Unless they retool her kit, that is. Because right now, her skill 2 is the only other thing that's really good about her, which you guys and gals can read right here. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's not too bad. But you have to be able to keep her alive. So there's that. You're going to have to give her some really strong gear and then just get that free 25% lifesteal. It's not bad. It is not bad, but it's not great. Okay, moving on. So, Soul Plunder. Soul Plunders actually has one that's decent. Axel.
I must
he is borderline good. He has the capabilities to be good. Because the way this guy works is he wants to be in a poison team, but then he doesn't. Because his poisons in his kit aren't very reliable, so he's not really going to help with the poison team, which is very interesting because it's in his kit. If they changed his kit up slightly and made him a little bit less squishy, he could be on to something. Because the way he works is the more kills you get, the stronger he gets, based on his trait here. Grants 10% attack per enemy defeated, max 10 stacks. So if you are doing 3 waves, you clear the first 2 waves, he's already at a permanent 80% attack boost. If you add that to his base attack that's already an A grade, that puts him over an S grade attack unit as an elite. So this dude could actually hit pretty dang hard if you build him as a pure DPS. But if you do that, you're going to be making him super squishy, and he's not really going to fit into the poison team, which is going to be mostly a bunch of tanky units that just slowly melt your life with poison. So his kit's a little bit weird. And the next unit we're going to talk about is kind of in a similar situation, except she's a lot more reliable in the poison team, thus you don't need to build her as a DPS, even though her kit wants to be a DPS. Where in this situation, the poisons are not as consistent, because his poison is a 30% chance to apply, which is very, very low. Okay? And his skill 2 doesn't do anything with poison, and his ultimate has a 100% chance to apply poison, but you want to build him as a DPS, because the way his trait works, you don't want to lose that damage potential with him. So if you want to build him up, you want to build him as a DPS and just do pure damage, opposed to poison. Even though it's weird to say that, but that's just the way he is. Because he's got C health, C defense, C speed. Even if you put a really strong gear on him, he's not going to be super tanky anyways. And his poisons on his skill 1 are unreliable. And in the poison team, you really want those skill 1s to be reliable, because you want to keep stacking poisons. His ultimate is a 4-turn cooldown, so you're not going to be able to consistently keep doing that either. He's just going to slow the team down. You're better off running other options in that poison team than him. But if you want to run him as a pure DPS, you could try him out. By the way, his trait works even if other units get the kills. It's not just himself. So if you have like a Zatlix and he goes in there and does a full wave clear, he just went up 40% attack instantly like that. So like I said, if you can fit him in the right team, if you could slot him in there and somehow give him protection, because he's going to be squishy, he's going to be a glass cannon, he will put in some work as a DPS, because he will have some very high damage output. However, if he gets hit once or twice, he's dead. So keep that in mind. And he is one ugly SOB. So this brings us to Raven. This is actually a very good unit as well. She's also in a similar situation where she's super squishy. However, she does have a bit of built-in protection because she does have stealth, which allows her to, you know, somewhat avoid single target damage, but not AoE. But she does have somewhat of protection built into her kit. She's also going to be another unit that can do a ton of damage on her ult because, you know, for every negative effect, she's going to be doing a ton more damage. So she fits in with any kind of debuff team. However, you do not want to build her as a DPS because she's actually better suited in just a pure poison team. And I'll tell you why in a second. And there you guys go with more of the whole stealth mode. You know, attacks ignore 50% enemy's defense. So again, the ultimate's going to do a bunch of damage. But we don't want none of that for Raven. What makes Raven really strong is her skill 1 that has no cooldown. Because she gets a whopping, get this guys, whopping 80% chance to apply poison. Not for 1, not for 2, but 3 freaking turns. This is what the poison team wants. This is what the poison team needs. This is what the poison team demands. And they're going to get it all in spades with Raven. You build her like a truck. You put all the HP and defense you can get. You're going to squeeze every ounce of that C-grade health and defense out of her. Because if she's just sitting there with curse set and just spamming that poison, you run that unit with like a unit like William with the counterattacks, with the joint attack. You run that with a unit like Light Dawn Evelyn, the OPest unit in the game right now. If you do things like that, mid to late game, she's going to perform very well because she's going to be stacking poison after poison after poison. You pair her up with a unit like Gangela, which is like the poison leader, and another unit that's epic like Santis, you got yourself a solid poison team. But we're going to talk more about poison teams in the future. But yeah, Raven is so much better than Asgul just because of the way her kit is built and what you can do with her. Asgul just does not have any built-in protection. He doesn't have a stealth or anything like that. He wants to be a pure DPS, and his skill 1 poison is just very unreliable. 30% versus Raven's 80%. That's just huge. Plus, Raven's poisoning for 3 turns, which is very nice. Okay, so Sylvan Woodlands. Do we have any good elites in here? Well, I want to tell you yes, but unfortunately there is none. CC, if you attach her to an enemy or to an ally, she could be a bit tilty, but it's very temporary. It's just not that great. I do like her redesign though. Looks very, very cool. But yes, there's not really anything in Sylvan Woodlands I would consider ever building up at this time. Again, if they change this between now and the release, great. We do need some more really strong, you know, blue and green elites. We just don't really have too many right now to choose from. Most of it's in red, you know, fire. With, of course, Raven being the exception as one dark unit. But yeah, we need some more elites to really shine through with some rebalancing on their skills and stuff. So we'll see what they do at release. But right now, that's kind of where we're at. Titan Icelands. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we do have one elite that's actually worthwhile. But the great thing about him, you don't have to build him up. All you have to do is stick him in your team. And what do I mean? Well, if you guys have ever watched the boy Josh here on this channel, no matter what name we were under, whatever banner we flew under, we always were about the tilt. What kind of cancerous meta can we create? All the way back from Duel Links to Awaken Chaos, we're always creating that tilt. So what did your boy come up with? Mulagu Meltdown. I don't know if that's a real thing. I just made it up. But his stats are abysmal. He is garbage. Everything about this dude screams trash. Except for one beautiful freaking thing about this guy. And that is his passive, Cold Halo. He lowers the entire enemy speed by 20 speed. You know what you can use him for? You probably guessed it. Arena. You throw him in your arena team with 2 DPSs and your Windstrex, and you're gone. You're going to town. You're golden. Their team is going to be so dirt slow. They're going to be moving like snails while you're flying around and just whooping that you know what into extinction. So there you go, Mulagu. He's one of those very, very, very few units you don't have to invest nothing into. Just get him to where you can, sorry, just level that skill up one time. That's it. Then it's over. Throw him in your team. Speed down 20 for the opponent. You're good to go. He's going to be good for defense and offensive arena if you're trying to run that speed tilt. Very nice unit. But that's all he's good for. Alright. Free cities. What can I say about free cities? Elson. He's decent. He's kind of I would say he's comparable to Evelyn. Whatever you think about Evelyn, that's kind of what I get with Elson. They don't work the same, but they kind of have the same role. Just lots of single target damage with high potential, but will fade off in mid to end game. Joseph. Joseph, believe it or not, is a fantastic buffer. This guy has some really good buffs. Check this out. He buffs attack, defense, and applies immune to your team. The only issue with Joseph is on auto, he's not applying the right buffs to the right people. That's the only problem with him. So on auto, if they would fix that, that would be great. He does get a, he does get a 20% max health, which puts him probably around an A health instead of a B. So you could build him really, really tanky if you'd like. He also got a speed up to a random ally for 2 turns. Again, this is kind of the situation where he's not applying the buffs to the right people. That's why I suggested in their actual Discord how to, do auto, where we can actually make priorities for buffs, for skill ups, for spells, what, attacks we want to use, prioritize, stuff like that. Some really complex stuff that we don't have in the game at the moment. I'm hoping that they bring it into the game. We're Removes all negative effects on the target. Grants his character a bonus turn if successful. So, I mean, he's got a really, really good kit. Not the best stats. He's a pure support unit. Don't expect him to do anything outside of just support. But he's a really good supporter. And he can be helpful in a lot of situations, including like guild boss, for example. Or even in some stages like Ash. If you're trying to farm that, you know, that glorious curse gear. And then, we have the granddaddy of them all. The badass in the elite. This dude is fantastic. This guy has been played and played and played to death. This guy has been tested more than anyone else has been tested in the history of life. He's been tested more than a freaking... I'd hate to say it, but he's had more tests done than a prostitute. I mean, this dude is amazing. He's got an A attack, B health, C is a little, squishy on the defense, speed you can get up. His crit rate's not too bad either at B. So his stat distribution for an elite is actually pretty decent. But what makes him really strong is his skill set. His skill set is fantastic. So if we go here to his trait, upon defeating an enemy, launches a bonus attack to deal 80% to all enemies. Now, he could technically clear out an entire wave with that trait. You could go in, do a big hit, kill somebody, use his trait, kill somebody again, pops the trait again, kills again, pops the trait again, kills the last enemy. He could literally do that in one single turn. He is a wave clearer, similar to Zatlux and Hydricia. He is fantastic. His light version is garbage though, which is really weird to me. I would love to get his light version's armor over his elite version. I would love that. Just give me that armor on this boy and I'm good to go. Every one of his skills are fantastic as well. His skill 1 gives him an attack up. So his self buff, 30% attack, easy peasy. Skill 2 deals 105% damage to an enemy plus 50% bonus damage if the target has less than 50% max health remaining. So that's very, very helpful in boss fights and as well as in PvP. He also gets, of course, an additional 45% damage added on to that. So it'd put him around 150 in total. 3-turn cooldown. Very nice. His ultimate deals 135% damage to all enemies. The fewer the enemies, the more damage this attack deals. Also very similar to Zatlix. So that allows him to turn an AoE into a very strong single target. Very good. And it's also a very low 4-turn cooldown. The dude's a beast. There's nothing more I can say about Zachary that you probably don't already know. He's awesome. Dragon Scale Marsh. Nothing. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe we did not miss any of the elites. If I did, I'm sorry. If there's some of your favorites I didn't talk about or mention, I'm sorry. But based on several months of testing, getting data and information from various other users, from free-to-plays all the way up to megalodons, big whales, that is the best of the best when it comes to elites. Hopefully, with some changes between now and to release, we can get some of those units that aren't so good to be a little bit better. Like, I would love Celine to be a little bit better as a water elite. I would love for them to make a water elite that's strong, a wood elite that's strong, to kind of be comparable with Zack, because right now it's the Zack show. And, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, sometimes you just get tired of always seeing Goku, okay? So, can we see something a little bit, different besides just Zack, more Zack, and even more Zack? That would be great. So, anyways, let me know what you guys thought about my list in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, take notifications, and join us in the Discord as always. And follow me on Twitter at ExusPlays, all one word. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.